$1.2 trillion. We'll net about $3 trillion out of it. We're going to invest in the United States, and oddly enough, it's the legacy of Ronald Reagan, which, you know, who'd have thunk it, you know? I mean, I'll take the money.
So, in other words, what you're saying is Leo Wanta is real, and I've tried to have him on my show. He's welcome.
Here's what I did. My chief of staff is Colonel James Hankey.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second here. Hello. Well, I'm on the line talking right now. So go to Blog TV and you can hear us. Okay, well, I'm sorry, dear. The show's over for the day. Thank you. Hey, people want more.
Well, yeah.
Now let me ask you something, Gordon. I mean,
here's what I did to check on Wanta. Wanta was I was assigned as Wanta's handler by an organization that you don't like. Okay.
Okay.
We're not going to name that organization. I put Wanta on with Jim Hankey, Colonel James Hankey, initially to vet Wanta. Wanta said he worked in the White House. Now, Wanta went to the Reagan Library, went to the President's scheduling book, and pulled out his list of meetings with the President of the United States. Then he pulled out his appointment as Inspector General of the Department of Defense. Now, he was nominated Inspector General by Senator Grassley of Iowa at the request of the President of the United States. Then I put him on with Hankey, who worked in the Pentagon for years, was defense attaché to Israel for 6 years, and you know what a G2 officer is, right?
Yes.
He was the G2 of NATO. Okay? You know what rank that is, right?
I believe so. Fill me in if they don't know, people don't know.
Well, here's the worst part of this. I'm on the phone with these guys, right? And I find out not only are they the same age, they're both from Milwaukee. They went to high school next to each other. And so I'm going through 1956, 7, 58. The football, every football game was for in Milwaukee for days. And then, of course, Hankey runs through the Pentagon. Do you know this person, that woman? Whose office was here? How many kids did they have? This stuff. Things nobody would know. Wanta knew everything. And then they began in covert language, mentioning names of operations, one after another. Wanta knew every single one. Now, no national security issues came out, but the vetting went on for 4 hours. That Wanta sat at the pinnacle of the U.S. intelligence community for years. The pinnacle. The money's real. The court documents are public. They're not only do we have articles that you can read that others have written, but the court filings on the Wanta issue are all public court documents. And any American can pull up the entire court case file from the Eastern District of Virginia, Wanta versus, and it's, Dick Cheney and Secretary of Treasury Paulson and George Tenet and whatever the list is here for an illegal arrest. Now, trillions of dollars were stolen, but we have enough money here to bring the United States back to its feet, and it's what we want to do. And I want to hire as many veterans as I've got enough money. Hire 80,000 veterans. Can you hold for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Iranians here. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I've got Lee on the other line here. I should probably talk to him.
Okay, well, can you put us on a conference?
No, I cannot put Lee on. I cannot put Lee online.
Well, tell him I would love to speak with him, but
I know, but he can't. He can't.
Could you call me back when you're done with him?
Yes, I will.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, well, let me just share with you. No, shit, I can't do that now. Hang on a minute. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Share with you a little bit more of what Gordon Duff has to say. So stay with me here for a moment.
In God we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are endowed with inalienable rights of life and precious liberty, the pursuit of happiness. On these we now take aim and set our sights.
Gordon Duff says, though a GOP insider, I've always worked to represent reason and human values, or so I tell myself. And our government, military, and intelligence services, people of courage and goodwill, have been worn down, bullied. They look away. Some were indoctrinated by the right, seeing the intellectual dishonesty and ineffectiveness of the left, now exposed as controlled opposition. All opposition is controlled opposition. Real Americans wait by their door for their time, for when their time comes, and that time is closer than ever now. Once we used to fight over 9/11 as a conspiracy theory. So many went to defend America, believing 9/11. This will break your heart, so accept my apologies in advance. This video is now classified.
To the Liberty and Trinity Place. They advise the message of the plane. He advised the political combat. That's all people that movement. Trinity and Liberty will be mobilization point at this time. Airport CO, that's that door. Who is the authority of? Advise the message about the plane. Central, we need the power squad needed to over King and 9412, hold up. Advise the message about the remote control plane. Where's the tourist on the air?
Remote control plane.
It's a big truck with a mural painted of an airplane diving into New York City and exploding. I don't know what's in the truck. The truck is in between 6th and 7th on King Street. I'll send you through the bus on there for Westgate. With a mural painted. Airplane diving into New York, blowing up. 2 men got out of the truck, ran away from it. We got those people under. That's great. You got those? Are you holding those two guys, Gary? We got them under. Let's get some music going. Get out of them. Right here. Yeah, both suspects under K. We have the suspect who drove in the van, the van exploded. We have both of them under K. Let's get some help over here. Now, I'm telling you, we didn't shoot that. I just want to make sure you and your guys all right over there, K. That's all. What's the location, right, K? Put them up, put them up. You know, we have both your fans and driven. Resurrect? What location? What location, K?
Apologies to our viewers about 5 minutes ago, but we do have an established connection now with CNN Deborah Fairway. The reports we're getting now, 2 or 3 men arrested on the New Jersey Parkway. Deborah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. That is the information that I'm getting from 2 sources, that there was a van either on the New Jersey Turnpike or the Garden State Parkway, and that it was near the George Washington Bridge. There were 2 or 3 men who were in the van. The van was pulled over. It is not clear why the van was pulled over, but when it was, law enforcers found tons of explosives inside of the van. That is right now all I'm hearing.
Tons of explosives.
People in custody, and we are trying to get more information on that right now.
Deborah, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. Do you know where on the Jersey Turnpike this was? How far from New York City?
We do not know that. We are looking into that. There was one report that it was the New Jersey Turnpike. There is another report that it was very close to the bridge, if not on the bridge. So again, these details are all emerging, and we're trying to piece them together. But that's what we've got so far. 2 to 3 people in custody right now, found with a van filled with explosives.
Well understood. Deborah, where are you?
And we're late tonight that 2 suspects are in FBI custody after a truckload of explosives was discovered around the George Washington Bridge. That bridge links New York to New Jersey over the Hudson River. Whether the discovery of those explosives has anything to do with other events today is unclear. The FBI has 2 suspects in hand. Suspects in hand said the truck load of explosives, enough explosives were in the truck to do great damage to the George Washington Bridge. But they arrested the 2 suspects and they're questioning as we speak.
And that video is now classified. Even the news reports on CNN and CBS are now classified. The arrest records, those tells us that the Mossad agents who tried to destroy the George Washington Bridge are classified. The arrested men were taken from police by what they believed to be FBI. They were not. The men wanted for this terror act on 9/11 were flown to Tel Aviv on 9/12/2001 and refused to be interviewed. The police who arrested them have been ordered silenced or their pensions will be stopped. Now the truth has become undeniable. Those, says Gordon Duff, I used to disagree with through friends no longer take sides against me. We take one side toward America, toward fixing an America increasingly corporate, increasingly a police state, increasingly a slave state, a failed nation led by the dimmest and worst of a generation. There's no one in Washington with perhaps, except perhaps Ron Paul, that any of us, and by us I mean our military, our veterans, our intelligence community can get behind. To this limited extent, I speak this much for them with their clear authorization. They are my brothers. Through too many, for too long, took the 30 pieces of silver. Those who have done so, their names are known and are pariahs as they should be. We have waited so long for this. For me, it has required abandoning much of all the left, all of the right, and advocating universal opposition to all American military action. The reason is simple. Our government is now clearly controlled by a criminal conspiracy that rules most nations with others. Those who pretend from time to time to be bastions of free thought or occasional insanity, doing so out of a carefully scripted stage play. Look for a second, the current war with Iran. Who benefits? Iran is making billions on worthless oil driven through the roof over a phony nuclear conspiracy theory, while others are trading oil futures, peddling $4 gasoline in America, $10 gasoline in Europe, robbing food from the mouths of children. We see it all now, the phony war on terror, the staged phony conflicts, even a history of world wars that fall apart under real scholarship. Our history is mythology, our political parties are gangs, our courts are farces, our laws a joke. Only the dead, the dying, and the maimed are real. To those who have given much in the belief they have defended America, a group I belong to, says Gordon Duff, a Marine combat infantryman from Vietnam. It gives me no pleasure. It gives me much suffering and disappointment when I tell you, in my heart, our 2 world wars, Korea, Vietnam, the war on terror, all of it was planned, orchestrated, and staged to manipulate resources to enslave mankind and create a world government much more evil and restrictive than Orwell could ever have dreamed of. To the millions who dream of freedom, who fought for those beside them, moreover, those who may believe they defend their families and lands from oppression from within or without, all of it, with so few exceptions, has been exploited, twisted, and coerced into eventual human slavery. Look back at the Cold War. Who won? Not the West for sure. Iraq, a defeat for everyone involved. America, Britain, a major defeat for Iraq. Victory for the corporation, oil thieves, and arms merchants, as with every war. Afghanistan, it is a pure drug war now, and with luck, Afghanistan will be plundered for mineral wealth later, with the fighters of today becoming the slaves of tomorrow. It has been written. If you don't think all the world's religions haven't been managed as a part of a game, you have not been paying attention. When Constantine chose Christianity, those who knew the era recognized that he had in mind remaking Christianity in Paul's light, hierarchical, aggressive, judgmental, and purely polytheistic. When you hear hold no other gods before me, you are hearing of a pantheon of gods as with the Greco-Roman religion, not a form of monotheism, be it Yahweh or Jehovah, the high-tech sun god or whatever. Thus, when archaeologists who aren't paid to be agenda-driven to go to the Holy Land, they find ancient civilizations, but they don't find any basis for the religions of the book. They are all a Roman construct, more appropriately a Hellenic Roman construct built from the political needs of the Eastern Empire. The city of Rome no longer existed, not in any real sense. Christianity was a religion of Africa and the Middle East. There was nothing left of Europe after the barbarian invasions. History is taught is total bunk. If you want to understand Islam and why it grew, where it grew, it is because it sprouts from the roots of early Christianity and Judaism, and thus shares its Abrahamic roots. Christian scholars, as they call themselves, other than a few Jesuit friends with a good sense of humor, are a pack of morons. Until you begin to consider the realities of what was real and what was not, from the 3rd century to the 15th century, era by era, you'll never see how far the West has fallen. We are still fighting that war just as the wars in the 90s in the Balkans came from World War II, or from the Balkan Wars of the 20s, or even centuries earlier with the Ottoman conquest of the region. If you want to understand the history, read Solander and his book, A Deadly Misunderstanding. Being dumb is imprisonment for the soul. But back to our talk of war. I am always going to be an American despite roots elsewhere. I could be anything most Americans could. With enough phony documents in my mother's birth certificate, I could be a Jew or Cherokee. We call people like this Americans. What is critical is that the anti-war movement, such as it is, becomes something of a reality rather than a circus. We need fighters. We need those who see economic growth and profit in technology and trade rather than debt, currency, manipulation, and drug running. We need admissions of error, admissions of crime. We need honor. It's the shame of it is what we lose. We lose the beauty of Arlington, where many of my friends lie. We lose the heroism of Marines on Iwo Jima or the 101st at Bastion. We have each other, though. That has to be enough. We have to admit that we have a reason to be angry. No more airport scanners, no Homeland Security, no more having UPS drivers look in your window. It was all theater, just like Israel in their years of worrying about Egypt and Syria while Mubarak and Assad were on their payroll. Why do you think news is controlled? Hasn't this election taught you something? Didn't you ever think you'd miss Richard Nixon? He predicted it. What did he know that we don't? Take the thanks I got for starving in Vietnam, or fighting off hordes, or ill-trained farmers who believe they were fighting for their freedoms. Admit that 95% of our enemy in Afghanistan is the people, a fierce and independent people, more like we wish we were, rather than die, who would rather die than have a pack of Washington thieves who run our lives, run theirs. Keep the Al-Qaeda fairy tales. I'm an intelligence and security advisor, says Gordon Duff. Don't think I haven't been at a table where the discussion was Should we tell Americans Al-Qaeda is here? How much can we make off of this? Who are we going to claim Al-Qaeda is? I just hope it wasn't me saying it, and I can't promise it wasn't. Why did it turn out there were no Al-Qaeda in Libya despite the lies? Remember, it was admitted the president of Yemen had lied to the U.S. saying a rival tribe, Al-Qaeda, so we would go after his enemies with drone strikes. It's true, but once the story was told, it was forgotten in the hopes the public wouldn't remember. Remember when Judge Napolitano and Geraldo Rivera of Fox News proved that 9/11 was an inside job? Napolitano was threatened and is angry. This is not a man to be taken lightly, because perhaps someone who really belongs in the White House. Then Jesse Ventura made mincemeat of the cover story of 9/11 by using the top pilots, scientists, and engineers along with eyewitnesses. One day later, it was though it never happened. And then we've got, this is all on the website, it's all linked here to Gordon Duff. And he ends up with, this means, of course, the oath that each of us has sworn requires we declare that those in support of those illegal acts to be in a state of rebellion, subject to what we have sworn to. What is that? Am I saying we're required by oath to take up arms against our own government? Legal advice from the highest authority says these things. It is technically illegal if Congress and many others were taken into custody by our military based in the authority of the required oath, but it is more likely that a patriot might die at the hands of a treasonous government, which by definition one might apply to the United States, based entirely on objective legal definitions as outlined in our Constitution. Thus, do not openly organize violent opposition or overthrow of the U.S. government out of practicality alone, although it is supportable legal precedent for doing so. In fact, current laws designed this year by the president make anyone subject to arrest and detainment, even the president, applying habeas corpus and constitutional protections to suspects without even without warrants or probable cause by law a formality long discarded. Do the fools know they've created a mechanism of their own destruction? What is painful to accept, because this is double talk, is that the honorable service to a dishonorable cause makes us no different from those in the past we've been taught were evildoers. But you say we are Americans and we love freedom, we are empowered only to spread justice and security. How can such exhortations be real? They are real. We are victims in a game of theory warfare. We've been duped into trading security for safety that never existed, fighting enemies who have had more honor than ourselves, and some, but not all, but certainly being less than we can be. Senator Ron Paul currently has more support among active duty and retired military, more veteran support than any candidate, tells the House of Representatives that proof exists that our invasion of Iraq was a planned criminal act and that evidence of this treason exists. But thousands of our men and women died for what he's proven to be a lie, and 1 minute after presenting the diplomatic documents, not one action was taken. We don't begin to know what an examination of historic documents will tell you about World War II or the establishment of Israel. All of you know that President Lyndon Johnson staged the Gulf of Tonkin incident as a criminal pretext to start a war that destroyed a generation of Americans. Ron Paul proved that Iraq was invaded the same way. The USS Liberty incident tells a frightening story about Israel as a friend or perhaps an enemy, one you've been lied to about for your whole entire life. Here, the BBC debunks a vital part of American history. Can we prove the 1967 war was an Israeli sneak attack the other way around? Of course we can prove that, and so much more. Jews have been lied to all these years by racketeers, Palestinians put in concentration camps. We can prove it all. No conspiracy, no opinion, hard proof. This time around, real Americans won't take part in their phony election. We're going to talk real issues, restoration of democracy, survival of America, and a future for our children. Washington will no longer dictate to America. I can go further. Washington believes it, what whatever it believes, is not our capital at all, but a cesspool of degenerates and thieves all of us despise. This includes Congress, the money boys, the think tanks, phony press, the whole thing. We want the capital moved to America, no more homeland security, no more phony seniority system, no more ruling elite. We want an end to it. No more Supreme Court justices playing God with their lives, no more senators from postage stamp states, no more congressional districts that look like crossword puzzles. We're not going to fight your wars anymore. Let's talk Iran. Here's a dose of a truth that only supposed evidence of Iran's weapons system. The New York Times was caught lying about Iran. The fact leads to two choices. One conclusion is that Stephen Erlenzer, the puppet master, is trying to start a world war as an Israeli agent. Private Wars confirmed this, and we know he lied. Now we know he was just following orders. Where did we hear that one before? We've met the enemy. It is stupidity. We can't afford it anymore. No more fear, no more lies, no more greed. Eventually, the way we're going, do I have to finish this? It's going to be a price to pay for betraying America. I put a small percentage on the slam dunk proof out there. The only question is when. When will we have had enough, and where do we move first? And folks, I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. I've got people like Gordon Duff coming on my show, and I've been doing that for years. I need a little bit of support. I need you to order some of my books. The Mystery Babylon has the whole story the whole Rothschild banking scam on there, on the Israeli scam. It's all right here, Bucks. You can have this whole book. You can order it. You can get it for $35. I'll mail it to you. It's a big print, folks. It's a big print, so you can read it. It's got the whole story of the CIA drug smuggling operations. But you can read it tonight for a $20 donation. I am Clay Douglas, freeamerican.com. That's a big book. That's about $45. The smaller ones are $35 with the shipping. And I also have my books in fiction. But folks, my fiction, and the one I'm working on now, the Luciferian Society, talking about the DNA and DNA science that they had 10,000 years ago, is going to be pretty interesting. It's, I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. God bless you all. Thanks for listening.